Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Welcome into another edition of Inside Automotive right here at the CBT Automotive Network.
CBT News, your number one resource for auto industry news and content.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining me this morning on CBT Now. Donald Trump has made it clear tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico will move forward. Joining us now to continue the conversation on tariffs is Mr. Cody Lusk, the president and CEO of the AIADA. You've seen him here before on CBT News. Cody, thank you so much for joining us on the show. There's so much to talk about, and certainly at the top of the list would be tariffs, right?
Yeah, always great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. So what say you on this topic? I mean, there you are, just a stone's throw away from the White House, and things are heating up on tariffs. I know that it has the whole industry, whether you're on the wholesale side or the retail side, they're concerned about this, right? Any updates?
Yeah, it was just over a month ago. I was on a panel at Washington Auto Show kickoff, and I was there with somebody from the manufacturer and somebody from the parts industry, and talking about this was when it looked like the tariffs on Canada and Mexico were coming down. And really the most alarmist person there was the parts person, because he said even the threat of tariffs really throws things their world off, and that kind of starts a chain reaction. Obviously, the president said he was going to impose those tariffs unless he saw some results on the Canadian and Mexican border with closures, and then fentanyl, coming into the U.S. He stayed those for, went up right to the minute, and then punted another 30 days. That timeline's coming down next week. We then had steel and aluminum tariffs that were put on all steel and aluminum imports, which have already, you had some CEOs in the auto sector speaking out about that. And then finally, we have a reciprocal tariff plan, which is something he campaigned on, that they are looking at, and he has proposed, announcing he's going to do these sectorally, starting off with the auto sector, which will come in early April. So we're still trying to figure out all of this, what all this means, and how it impacts really consumers and dealers as well.
And this all comes at a time when affordability is at the top of every dealer's mind. I mean, the new car being almost $50,000 and EVs obviously being even more expensive. This is a real issue. I mean, I spoke to a dealer yesterday. They have 10 stores, and he said that January wasn't that great. February isn't that great right now. His feeling is though this is all catching up to today's consumer, the affordability factor. Between interest rates and the price of a car and such, and now we're dealing with tariffs. Talk to me about that.
And that's how we're attacking this. I mean, the landscape has changed. President Trump has said his favorite word in the dictionary is tariff.
Right.
So we're not going to get anywhere by trying to tell him we think tariffs are wrong or tariffs are misguided.
Sure.
That's just, the landscape has changed. But what we have on our side is the affordability issue that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
It is, the average price of a vehicle is $50,000, about $750 a month for payment. We're not even getting into how car insurance has increased. So what we're really trying to tackle this is through some of these actions. The implications are that customers aren't going to be able to afford new cars. Right. It could cost automotive jobs. A lot of these plants are slowing down because they're not being able to export because of kind of tit-for-tat tariffs with China. BMW's had to stop some of their lines of what they would ship to China, have had to build them in China as a result. So there's a lot of repercussions. But again, we're having to come at this a little bit differently than we otherwise would. And I think affordability is the issue that I think would strike to the heart of a lot of the members of Congress and even President Trump, with what the American taxpayers might be going through.
Yeah. In a perfect world, if you had, your way, what would you like to see happen on this tariff situation?
Well, what we have said since they were first brought up against Canada and Mexico, we have strongly encouraged both governments to engage with this president. Mm-hmm. He likes to talk He likes to engage these other countries. We've encouraged that, and so I've encouraged my German friends, my Korean friends, Japanese. You have to engage him. You have to be able to give him off ramps. You have to be able to let them have wins. And so, if you just say, hey, you can't do this because we don't think this is right, that's not going to get you very far. The president loves leverage. That's no secret. He likes to leverage our economy, which is the strongest economy in the world, and he wants to utilize our strength to get what he wants out of other countries. That's no surprise. He tells you that's what he wants to do, and he's doing that.
That's right.
And, at least that's where we are right now. Now, I don't know how that works out, as we're, at the same time we're talking about extracting concessions from other people. We're also talking about using tariff revenue to pay for certain things and to make our country richer and to pay for tax cuts and other things. So there's a lot of, we're still trying to sort out really where all this ends up, and it's and more stuff's coming down the pike every day.
Sure. Is there anything dealers or your members could do during this time to either influence the White House, or what would you like to see the members do, or what can they do?
Doing right now, we're engaging on all fronts. I think it's a little early to ask dealers to get out because we're not really sure what the it is. He's going to make an announcement. He might kick the can down the road, or he may bring the hammer down. We'll know more in another month or so. But what we've done is created, we're trying to be as proactive as possible. We've created a new site, a new campaign called SaveAutoJobs.com, which I'm announcing for the first time here on your show.
Okay.
This will be kind of a clearinghouse for dealers, customers, anyone to go to find out everything they need to know about this issue, about the implication of tariffs, about consumer confidence, about prices. They could also have something on there where they can contact their members of Congress. I do think when it comes to these issues and the impact of what tariffs mean, it does play out in the halls of Congress. In other words, the farmers get brought up into this. It brings up a lot of industries that get hurt in the process, and it's still most effective to go through your members of Congress. And they can a lot of them have, President Trump talks to so many members of Congress from all shapes and sizes, not just committee chairman. He talks to everybody nonstop every day. And so, while some dealer might think that their member isn't that connected, he might be the one that talks to the president the most.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
We will at the appropriate time ask them to engage, depending on once we know really what the it is. I know some manufacturers are much more concerned about this than others, but we will have a full-scale game plan in place, ready to go once we know, really what we're fighting here.
Right. And what do you say to the dealers that say, hey, let him do what he's doing. This is exactly why we put him in office, and this is what the country needs, and we just need to suck it up as an industry for a little while and just let him do what he's doing? I mean, is that...
Well, I think we all learned a lesson the first administration we had with President Trump, and then a lot of us, I think, overreacted. This is not selective to the auto industry. It's every industry maybe overreacted to every little tweet and everything that he said, instead of actually reacting to the actions. And I think what you've seen this industry, give or take a hiccup here or there, but other industries are being much more patient and much more sort of working to see or waiting to see actually what happens.
Right.
That's why we're not flying off the handle at this particular moment on what could happen, because we're not really sure, is he just using this to get, as a negotiating tactic, or is he using it for revenue? We're not really sure, but our members want us to be patient and want us to see what it is before we go, fighting, make sure we're fighting the right way and the right.
Right. Switching gears a little bit, talk to us about this tax situation. And I know that's something that you've been working on as well.
Well, I think, we've got the renewal. The president's tax cuts are up for renewal. We had a big budget vote in the House that passed narrowly last night. That's off to a good start.
Yeah.
So there will be, they'll keep the corporate rate at about what it is. There's some issues in there relating to pass-through, which, a lot of dealerships are. The one thing that has, sort of my spidey sense tingling a little bit is, how they pay for a lot of this. They want to really have a big number on the cut side, which means they've got to have a big number on the pay for side.
Right.
We're hearing rumors that our old friend, the border adjustment tax, might come back, might be in play, which is something that the whole industry opposed the last time. But there are things like that, whether that's called a bat or it's a new tariff. But those are things that Congress might be considering as we work through this process. That's really what Congress is going to spend most of the spring and probably early summer on. It's going to be the issue that defines what they're doing in the House and the Senate. And it's going to be a mess. It's going to be sausage making at its ugliest and finest. And hopefully we'll have the auto industry on the right side of that.
Yeah, no question. Here we are in just the first week of March. How are the things look so far for the first 2 quarters among your members for the industry?
I think there's no question that everybody got off and was excited as January hit and really thought the market was ready to blast off. I think that some of this chaos, some of this concern, you've seen consumer confidence dropping. I think some of this uncertainty has really played a factor. Talk to dealers across the country, maybe not quite as optimistic as they were. I think they want to get some of these issues unresolved. Sure. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon, but there's no question, not just in our sector, but across all sectors, there seems to be this concern seems to be slowing or creating a little bit of more headwinds than expected.
Yeah, for sure. What's on your to-do list other than the items that you just mentioned, which are very big? What's on the to-do list for the AIADA this year?
Well, I think, like I said, we're working through with Congress. We're getting all the new administration in place. We're acting to anything and everything at this particular moment, getting our dealers engaged. One thing we still do, which I think is a great program that we have ongoing, is our dealer visit program, where we encourage, a lot of people just bring people to DC, which is great, but we try to get members to go out to dealerships, and have them see and visit and see all the technology that's in place at the stores these days, how modern the facilities are, how great the product is. So they actually know what when they're doing legislation and making it, they can see the impact that the dealer has, the number of employees, the investment they have in those communities, which we think is a very strong measure of what dealers mean to those communities.
Sure. And last but not least, Scout and Afila. This is obviously something that is driving dealers crazy, rightfully so. You've got 2 companies, Honda and Sony, that are getting together to build a car, are going to deliver it directly to consumers. Volkswagen, Audi has said the same thing about their Scout product, and they're both moving along. Give us an update on that. You got to be hearing from you.
I think there's frustrations across both line makes, at really the lack of communication, and a lack of engagement. And I know my friends at the state associations are really working this issue harder than anybody. Mike Stanton and the team at NADA. I think just the lack of overall engagement is just frustrating for all of us involved, and to see that it doesn't have to be this way. The playbook is written about how successful this could be. Really what the end game is, and there's no better way to sell or retail a vehicle than through a dealer, and that's proven over time. And like I said, more than anything, it's just a frustration over the lack of engagement and just going down without really paying any attention to what the implications might be.
Right. Yeah, it's troubling to say the least. Cody Lusk, President and CEO of the AIADA, thank you so much for joining me on the show. Very much appreciate it. It's always great getting an update from you on these very important issues that are facing dealers today. And what's your take on the balance of the year? You think we're going to be okay after we get beyond some of these issues?
I work for car dealers for 20 plus years, Jim. We're always going to be great. It's going to be. I still think we're going to have a strong close to the year, and we got a lot of great, exciting product happening. And I think we're finally getting some of these mandates a little under control that will let consumers be much more in control of the products that they want to buy, and we're happy to do them.
Sure. Cody Lusk, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Yep, sounds good, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you.